Do you know only one nation in Africa was not colonized? This small and unequipped nation defeated Italy, a European nation, in 1896. In the late 19th century, as the European powers carved up Africa in the frenzy of the so-called Scramble for Africa, there was one African empire that stood as an enigma to colonial ambition: Ethiopia. A land of ancient kingdoms, proud traditions, and a fiercely independent spirit. The Horn of Africa was no stranger to foreign interest. But in 1896, Ethiopia was about to show the world something few believed possible: that an African army could stand toe-to-toe with a European colonial power and win. It began years earlier, when Italy, newly unified as a nation in 1861, sought its own place in the sun. The other powers, Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, had already claimed vast territories in Africa and Asia. Italy wanted its empire, and the Red Sea coast seemed ripe for the taking. In 1889, Italy occupied the coastal territory of Eritrea. The Italians were eager to push inland into the Ethiopian highlands, but they knew outright invasion was risky. So they used diplomacy, or rather deception. That year, Ethiopia's Emperor Johannes IV had fallen in battle against the Mahdists of Sudan, and his successor, Menelik II, was consolidating power. Menelik was shrewd. He understood the European appetite for expansion, and he sought to play one power against another to Ethiopia's advantage. When the Italians offered him a treaty, the Treaty of Wuchale, it seemed a path to mutual recognition and peace. But hidden in the Italian language version was a sinister clause. In Amharic, the treaty said Ethiopia may use Italy as a diplomatic intermediary with other powers. In the Italian version, it said Ethiopia must conduct all foreign affairs through Italy, effectively making Ethiopia an Italian protectorate. When Menelik discovered this deception, he was outraged. He rejected the treaty in 1893, declaring Ethiopia's complete independence. Italy, however, was not prepared to let go. They saw Menelik's rejection as a challenge to their prestige and as an opportunity to assert dominance through force. In Rome, the idea took hold. A swift military campaign could bring Ethiopia under Italian control. By 1895, Italian forces, commanded by General Oreste Baratieri, began advancing from Eritrea into Tigray. At first, they captured key towns like Adigrat and Mekelle. But Menelik had been preparing. Years of careful diplomacy had allowed him to import modern weapons, rifles, artillery, ammunition from France, Russia, and other suppliers. His army was not the disorganized force Europeans imagined. It was a national army, drawn from across Ethiopia's regions, united under the banner of independence and faith. Menelik sent out a call to arms, and Ethiopia responded. From the highlands of Shoa to the plains of Oromia, from the rugged lands of Tigray to the southern kingdoms, warriors marched. Some estimates place Ethiopia's force at around 100,000, though only a portion could be supplied with modern firearms. The rest carried spears, swords, and shields, but their morale was unshakable. They were fighting not for a distant monarch, but for the survival of their homeland. By early 1896, the two sides were on a collision course. The Italians, numbering about 17,000, were well-equipped and confident in their European training and discipline. They believed Ethiopia's size and terrain could be overcome with superior organization. Baratieri, however, was under pressure from Rome. His troops were running low on supplies, and the Italian government, facing political criticism, demanded action. On the night of February 29, 1896, Baratieri made his move. His plan was to launch a surprise attack on the Ethiopian encampment near the town of Adwa in the early morning, seizing high ground and forcing Menelik into retreat. But the plan relied on perfect coordination between columns in unfamiliar, mountainous terrain. In the darkness, confusion reigned. The Italian divisions became separated, advancing along difficult ridges without clear communication. At dawn on March 1, 1896, the battle began. The Italians found themselves facing not scattered Ethiopian bands, but vast, disciplined formations. Menelik's wife, Empress Tetu Betul, commanded thousands of troops herself, defending a critical water supply. Ras Alula, Ras Mikhail, Ras Mengesha, Ethiopia's great generals, each led forces that struck different parts of the Italian lines. The terrain favored the Ethiopians, who knew every slope and valley. Wave after wave descended upon the Italian positions. The Italians fought fiercely, but their lines were stretched thin. ammunition,